is how I want to enter your parlor today or your laptop. Like, who missed me? Well, it's your girl, Uyai Anekan, and I always bring you joy and a lot of screaming when I bust on your television set to talk connect. My name is Uyai Aneka, and yeah, I said that twice, just so that you remember me very well. I hope you're following me on social media, because if you're not, you're missing. But this is Connect, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. On Connect, we talk about relationships, family life, how do parents relate with their children, how do partners relate with themselves, what is happening in your relationship. So we can say this is like a Spectrum TV relationship clinic. Oh shit, see rhymes. Well, as you know, I always bring great people to have great conversations, and today we are going to be looking at something that is very pivotal and very important. There are several myths around relationships. You should do this, you cannot do this. If you do this, this is the result you are going to get. So today I have young people with me to have this conversation today. What are some of the myths that you have heard, believed, or practiced about a relationship? Hey, how does this even go? But I have great people to have this conversation with me today. And on set live with me this evening is Best Watching Mere. I got it. Watching Mere. Watching Mere. No, I have to get it right. I have Best Watching Mere with me on set to have this discussion. So good to have you, Best.
Likewise, I'm excited to be here.
I like your first name.
I do prefer my last name though.
Okay.
Watching Emera.
Watching Mere. What does that mean?
The person that God does for.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Watching
God
Emera.
takes special care of you.
All right, of course, we also have someone joining us virtually all the way from Eket. Relationship enthusiast, Basi Owo.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. How is Eket today?
Eket is very beautiful.
Yeah, okay. So today we just want to talk relationship myths, the things that we have believed, the things that we have been sold, the things that we have practiced, and we just want to break it down because sometimes myths have a way of getting, you know, in the clog of the wheel of life. You're like, oh, why should he do this and why should she do that? This is the result, you know, we are going to get. For instance, one of the myths where I want to start from is, I saw this somewhere and I thought, okay, we really would have to bring this up. Basi, what's your thoughts about kneeling to propose to your girlfriend when you eventually want to get married? Do you want to get on bended knees?
The idea of kneeling to propose to a woman, I've never really seen it to be an African thing. It's never been in our culture. So, in the light of technological advancement and new changes, we have adopted it into our culture. But to the African man, to a traditional African man, that's not the case.
I think the tail end of that was more like when you kneel down to propose to a woman as an African man, they're saying, you know, that you're empowering the woman over yourself, you know, in the relationship, that you're giving her more strength and more place in the relationship. And I'm like, I don't think that that is true. Just because you went down on one knee to ask her to marry you, it doesn't mean that she's now the one in command of the relationship. But what's your thoughts with regards to this particular myth?
You know, kneeling down to propose to a woman does not change the power dynamics in a relationship. I am an Igbo girl, and in my culture, when on the day of your traditional marriage, when you are being given the guard to hand over to your husband, you have to kneel to present that. Do we now have to interpret that as you like telling your husband, oh, I'm now your slave because you knelt down? No. So it does not change the power dynamics that you have to get on your knee for one day. Remember that this is something that this is a memory that she's going to have to cherish forever, even you. I know that this is peculiar to different couples and their needs, what you want.
Expectations out of.
Yes, and what you want and your, like you said, expectations are obviously different from mine. So that I'm quite comfortable with my prospective order not kneeling down to propose to me does not mean that you should adopt the same views as me, because we are two different people. But it is important to know that bringing out one day to bend just one knee to propose to your woman does not change anything, because you are forgetting that this woman is definitely going to change her name. You are asking this woman a lot. She's going to change her name. In some cases, her career. She's going to let go of her dreams. She's going to stop doing a lot of things. She's going to have a whole lot of expectations and realities to live up to. Why? Just because she said yes to you. Don't you think that that moment is a huge moment in her life? Like this is the defining time in her life. Do you think that kneeling down to ask her that question is that big a deal?
It doesn't necessarily like put her over you, but I think it's also very instructive. Basi, I like the smile on your face, but I think it's also instructive for us to say that it is okay if a man, doesn't kneel down to propose. And I think that people who are dating or are in courtship should find a way of having these conversations, find a way to slip it in there. Okay, would you prefer if, we knelt down to have a proposal, or if I stood to propose to you, would you mind? Now, you may not want to have that conversation directly with your significant other so that you're not giving off that way you want to propose. But if we're like in a hangout of young people, you can instigate a conversation and let's see what the responses of people, on such subjects will be. You can bring out your phone. Oh, babe, I read this on the internet about kneeling down or not kneeling down. What are your opinions about this? I think it's important for us to have, these kinds of conversations so that someone says, I can't say yes to you because you did not kneel down to propose to me. We need to find out relationship preferences. But you were on a particular thought with regards to this Mr. African man, before the internet got in the way. So please just, finish your thoughts with regards to this.
All right. So, like I was saying, I said at the end of the day, we do this to please the women. It's not really in our culture, the adaptation to new things. So we get to do these things, and at the end of the day, it puts a very big smile on our women's faces because, like Miss Best rightly said, there are a lot of things that the woman has to adapt to change to in the expectation of marriage. So for one day, all you can do, the best you can do for her is just kneel down and ask her one simple question. So I think we would do it. I would personally do it just to see that smile on her face.
Based on logistics, based on the things that we need to lay down
Exactly.
to come to your life,
Exactly.
please
Exactly.
get down on one knee
Uh-huh.
and do it. So I think, just in the way of handling, some of the things that are peculiar, especially when, like you said, paying attention to the dynamics of 21st century relationships. A lot have changed, a lot has changed rather in the way we navigate relationships in this 21st century, other than our fathers' days. Some of the things we do, they didn't do. Some of the things we condone or take, they did not even bother about it, right? So just to throw in a little, like, word of something, please, uncles, find out what your auntie likes in terms of her fantasies about proposals. I think it's very important. Okay, so let's dig
Yeah.
into myths. Is there any particular myth you would like to talk about? Like any myth that you've heard, with regards to relationship that comes to your head? Which particular one would you like to sort out?
Okay. Myths about relationship that I really find very interesting is no, this might like be for married couples. I
Okay, no
know that
problem.
I'm single, but it being believed that when you are pregnant, as a pregnant woman, that anybody that walks over your leg, your child is going to have to adopt the person's features. Your child look like the person. There's no scientific proof, but people seem to believe that because I've spoken to a number of people and they firmly believe that, to the point that I know someone who literally went to beg a woman who had twins to walk over her legs so that she'll be blessed to have twins of her own.
So that's absolutely hilarious. Like that's so funny. So that's a big myth in terms of if I'm pregnant, you cross over me, my baby's going to look like yours, or something like, please don't cross over me, I don't want to be short. Those things are just myths. Now, Basi, is sex the most important thing in a relationship?
Wait, when you say a relationship, is it a marriage relationship or a love relationship that is on its way
Really,
to marriage?
honesty, holistically, when you look at it, whether you're talking about, people who are dating and courting and decide that they are indulging in sexual activities, or married couples, do you think that the most important ingredient in any relationship is sex?
In married couples, it's very important. If you take sex away, the devil comes in. All right, for married couples. Now, for those in relationships, what are you doing with sex? At the end of the day, you're stealing. I see that. That's how I see it. You're stealing, okay? Because you have to go through some certain protocol to be able to get that woman to your house legally, traditionally, and in the eyes of God. There are certain things you have to do, and if you do not pass through those processes like you should, what you just did was you stole.
Who
You
stole
just
the meat
stole
from
what
the
is not
cooking
yours.
pot? Yeah.
Yes, you stole. So it's sex is for relationships that are on their way to marriage. Sex is not an ingredient for that relationship. As a matter of fact, sex is your number. It's one of the surest ways to destroy that relationship, right? It's one of the surest ways. It's a short plug to destroy your relationship. So I wouldn't advocate for sex in relationships. It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea because like most times it feels like it blurs out your reasoning gap. Yes, I absolutely do agree with you because statistics has gone to show that every time that in premarital relationships that people engage in sexual activities, it blurs out your reasoning line. Sometimes people are not able to see and analyze the red flags that are still before them because you've physically
Yes,
intertwined
it
and
does.
you are confusing those hormones from that activity for love, for compatibility and the rest of it. But then I'm going to ask, I don't know if you share the same sentiments with him because I mean, people are different with regards to these things. I even see like believers, like Christians now that say, oh, I'm a Christian, but I really don't have a problem with having like premarital sex or all of those kinds of things. But then again, the twist I want to bring to this, Basi, you need to also hear this, where people say, okay, we are not having we're not indulging in the activity, but we can like keep pushing the border small small. We just keep pushing the borders and pushing the boundary. How acceptable or unacceptable is that?
I feel that when you keep pushing the boundary, instead of killing the lusts, you are fueling the fire of lust. So imagine if I am in a room with somebody I'm in love with, somebody I'm in a relationship with, and we've agreed that there will be no sex, but he's allowed to touch me. How long do you think we'll be able to keep that? And it's totally going to blur the line of reasoning because as long as he's with me and he's touching me and he has access to my body, all he's thinking about is when he's finally going to do the do. And because of that, it might blind him to the things about me that he wouldn't want in a life partner. Likewise myself, because I'm also a human being. As he's touching me, oh God, I just wish we could just do this. And so I would close my eyes with red flags because I've been thinking with another part of me that is not my head. However, it is also important. I think this is very, very tricky because sex is important. No matter how or however we want to take this conversation, sex is important. I also don't want to be in a room with somebody I'm in love with. Somebody I'm considering to spend the rest of my life with. And he's looking at me and treating me, Oga, I'm not your brother, I'm not your sister. We are not of the same family. Even if we are not having sex, I should be able to see you physically struggle. You should be physically struggling to hold yourself and keep yourself from touching me. Because if you are not that attracted to me now, that you have not even started touching me, when you now get access, it is once a month. And
Make sure that we put on this week's Connect rated 18 because I do not know how this conversation got here. But then, I like the essence. It's true. Attraction is very important.
it's very important.
In relationships. And then sometimes when we are in these relationships, and for a lot of people who want to work pure and be chaste in their relationship, you do not now pay attention that you're not attracted to this person. I've had a conversation with someone recently who said, oh, they were not physically attracted to their partners, but then you went on to have a lifelong relationship with them, and you can find out that these people are going to struggle. So I think I'm with you on that table. But now when we are saying as a myth, is sex the most important thing in a relationship? I think it is not, because there are other things that are more important. For instance, just to land this conversation, I would say that there are things like courage. But this I would say, how does someone go through pain and trials with you is more important than how they make your body feel. You know, in the long run, we are going to face different kinds of experiences in life. You do not want a partner who can't stay through to fight the battles of life with you, absentee partners. So I feel like we you know, we need to pay attention to the most important things: character, value, accessibility, communication. Like Basi was saying, in terms of a Christian relationship, sexual intimacy comes last. It doesn't come first on the plate. It comes last after you have crossed the line. So I think we just let that to rest. It's been whole in this particular conversation. Moving on to the next. Is it bad to argue? People just feel like once I argue in my relationship, that's the end. We should not argue. Just be walking like straight dummy. Anything you be, anything you do, like, oh, did I know you? No, you are the sweetest person in the world. Everything you say is the sweetest. What's your take? Do having arguments in relationships, is it a bad sign? Is it always a red flag?
I would say that not having arguments in a relationship is, one, totally unrealistic, and two, is the biggest red flag in the room. We don't live together. We didn't grow up. Even the person I grew up with,
Even
we
your
constantly
siblings.
argue, and we were raised under the same family, the same tutelage. We heard the same things. We were given the same training, and we still argue. We are two different persons. So not arguing is a big red flag. If I have a partner with me, a guy who I'm considering, and you agree everything, you agree to with everything I say, you swallow everything hook, line, and sinker. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a very big red flag, and also, if maybe even though you don't agree, but you're just going to, okay, yeah, let me accept what you said just for the sake of peace. Even without meaning to, I would abuse it.
Oh yeah.
Even without meaning to, even with the best of intentions, as a human being, fallible human being, I would abuse it. So, and it's also important to argue in relationships, because that is one of the times that you get to really bear yourself. You know what they say, that when you are angry, you really say what is in your mind. So when I'm arguing with you and we are having these moments of disagreement, that is enough time for me to even know, because sometimes I tell people it's not all about what you are saying to me, but about how you are saying those things to
Word.
me. It will show me what really matters to you, what you find
What are your
important.
values,
So imagine we are having an argument and you're repeating a word. I know that this is what you really want to communicate to me. So even in the heat of the moment, I know I'm upset, we are both upset, I may not listen to it. But when I go back, I have to go and reflect on that thing that is hurting you. So yes, it is important to argue, and the absence of arguments, that's a stale relationship. You should run.
Repetitive words in argument is a pointer to where the person's mind is really on a subject. I feel like I just got like fresh Rema word. Thank you for that. Basi, so what's your take on arguments in relationships? Do you argue with your girlfriend if you have one? What's it like? Some people are like, no, 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 but what's your take?
We argue, right? Because at the end of the day, if we are going to get married, if we are going to come together in matrimony, the results of these arguments, the values, the lessons we learn from these arguments are the values that we are going to pass down to our children. Those are the foundations on which we are likely going to raise our kids. So the arguments are necessary. Let us know what's your stand on this, what's my stand on this. And like she said, repetitive words are very important, in the sense that women have a very women when women want to bear out their minds, they have a very large vocabulary. Men are not entitled. Men don't do that. So, in order to be able to truly reflect what they're thinking about, they can tend to repeat certain words over and over again, probably because they don't have the right words to truly explain, expatiate what they mean. So, men, in the spirit, in the light of using lesser words, they would repeat some words. So women have to, the ladies have, like she said, you have to be very, very observant of certain words that a man uses. Okay. Now, argument, very necessary, very important. Okay. It's as important as communication. That's how important argument is, because your children are going to be raised on those things. Imagine you raise your kids and daddy is saying one thing and mommy is saying another thing. It wouldn't seem right. The family is divided already. So it has the arguments would actually be the values you pass to your children. Okay, daddy said this and mommy said the same thing. it means this thing must actually be true.
They agree on
So
this
we will
subject.
follow this path. Everybody agrees on that. Okay. Even if it's something that, okay, maybe I don't feel comfortable with, but for the sake of uniformity of mind, uniformity of values, uniformity of morals, and a legacy in the family, for the sake of those things, then those arguments are necessary to be able to streamline where the family is headed. On what path do you want to take the family? How do you want these children to represent you? So, any relationship without arguments is a problem.
So we
It's
are
a
looking
time
at
bomb.
arguments as a form of fine-tuning. It fine-tunes the people in
Yes.
relationship together. And I think it's also important to point out that when we argue, it also shows us our communication styles and our conflict resolution style. So I think that
Yes.
where people have
Exactly.
issues with arguing in relationship is because most people have not discovered their conflict resolution style, or they just like to shy away from conflict. So in an attempt not to look like a woman who nags or a woman who talks a lot, I just shy away from issues. I do not handle issues spot on. And then I feel like arguments are not always when we raise our voices and we shout. I can have a disagreement with you and we can have a civil conversation without raising our voices, you know. I think those are like very important things to note in terms of arguments. So we are saying that not arguing in relationship is a myth. You will argue because, like we said, we come from different family backgrounds. We have different trainings. We have different leanings. What if we even come from like different races and then we are together? You can't say that we'll not have things that ticks us off wrongly, right? So okay, moving on. More myths about relationships. This one is a big one. Does your partner complete?
That is deep, because a personal preference is that when I sat down to ask myself, best, do you want to get married? Are you ready to get married? Why do you want to get married? Is it because of societal pressure, or why do you want to get married? I was very specific. I was very, very deliberate. I sat myself down and asked myself these questions. One, I wanted to get married for partnership. And then,
Companionship, yeah.
yes, and then I wanted another me, because there are things you might be doing or you want to talk about, and I was raised to think that don't talk about things that you are doing until people start seeing the result. Don't tell people beforehand what you intend to do, but you still want to talk about those things. So I want another me that I can have that conversation with and know that, yeah, this is still me. We are both the same person.
I think the way I put that in English is called a human dashboard. All right, please go ahead.
So having a partner who completes you,
Okay.
it's very rare to find, but it is possible.
Okay.
And I will hold out until I find it.
You hold out. So you are on the tilt where you believe that your partner can complete you, because on the reverse, we believe that your partner cannot complete you, but your partner complements you.
Well,
Because when we're looking at like complete, we're looking at like I'm half measured in some way. I'm lacking in something, and I would never get that feeling until I have been poured into by a partner. So I don't know if.
yes, I know. I understand that, and I agree with that, because there are some things. Let me mention one. I am a lazy person. Imagine if I have a partner who is also lazy.
Is it lazy or procrastinator?
Lazy person.
Okay.
So imagine also having a partner who is lazy or who will not go all the way. So you see that I can actually find a partner who completes me.
So like more like someone who
Where
pushes.
I can't get to, my partner can get there. And when I mean I am lazy, does not mean I still don't do my chores or don't do things that I have to do. But I know, like, these are conversations. I literally have like questions like, kind of, what do you feel about this? I am not shy I'm not shy. Like, when I have a partner, I can bring up these things like, what do you think of this? What can we do about this? This is where I have my shortcoming. I notice that this is also your strength. This is my shortcoming. Is this going to be a problem? If it is, there's no point in going forward. Yes.
I like that resolution. Okay, so Basit, let's talk about partners completing one another, or is that a myth, or do you also believe in it? completing versus complementing.
Okay, I believe in complementing rather than completing. I believe
Okay.
in compliments because every human being born on earth is born whole. There's nothing missing. The only thing is, in terms of abilities, in terms of intelligence, in terms of creativity, right? There are not everybody is capable of everything. So you need a partner that can cover up your shortcomings, and you also have to be able to cover up your partner's shortcomings. So it's actually a matter of complementing rather than completing. Okay, now let me be brutally honest. His best was actually very honest. So let me be brutally honest.
Welcome to Honest Club.
My 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 girl is not she's not a fan of washing, doing laundry. She's not a fan of that. She can have a whole basket of laundry, and at the end of the day, she says she's doing laundry and then just washes like five clothes. But for me, I could have a full bucket or a full basin, and I'll sit down there and I'll clear the basin. Right? I don't have a problem doing that. She has a problem doing that. So I can do that for her while she does another thing for me.
Compliment.
Okay, she knows how to set up meetings with people. She knows how to approach people. I don't know how to do that. All right, I can see somebody that has what I want, but I don't know how to talk to the person. She can do that for me, and she has done that quite a number of times. All right, so it's. I don't see it as completing. I see it as okay. Where I'm deficient, you are there. Where you're deficient, I'm there. It's a matter of X and O's. We complement each other. Yin yang, the Chinese stories, or between yin and yang. One is black, one is white, but they are always in perfect sync and perfect, perfect sync with each other. They don't fight each other. They are not. You can clearly see the differences. The differences are clear, but covered. If you get what I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
still
they,
think
they
that.
are
Well,
not
like love
naked.
covers all things.
I
Yeah.
still think that we are talking about the same thing. Just
Okay.
that in my case, I prefer to just say, yes, this is completing me. Just like you said, you use the yin and yang analogy. They are not complete without the other. They aren't. But
Okay.
when they come together, they become complete. I know that it might sound old-fashioned on my part. I'm completely happy with that. I think we are basically talking about the same thing, but I choose to be honest and say, yes, I am not complete without this. Not that I can't function without this outside. I can. I have been. But when this actually comes into my life, I'll become more complete than I was before.
I like the addition when we now land on more complete. I like this conversation. I think it's this conversation is really interesting. But you know what? I'm not going to like yin you and yang you all the way. So let's take a quick break, and when we return, we are going to be having more yin and more yang around this myth conversation in relationships. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Connect, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. On Connect, we talk about relationships, all kinds of relationships. Actually, we're not leaning on any particular one, but today we've been dealing on the concept of myths in relationships. MYTHS, the things that people believe which are unreal or untrue about relationships. And we've had several conversations about this. The best way for you to catch up on all that conversation is to be following us across all social media platforms, all of which you can find at Spectrum TV. We are live now on TV, but of course you would always have these particular episode on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook, so you should be following us right on there. Of course, I still have my guest. I have Miss Best with me on set, and I have been super excited and elated speaking with her. We'll just walk through one more myth, and then I'd like us to look at another issue with regards to relationships. One myth we want to talk about is the concept of needing to spend as much time together as possible. And now this philosophy will knock on different people different ways. We have people that are clingy. We have people that are I like my space gang. We have people that are confused as to whether they like clingy or they do not like clingy. So what's your thoughts about when people say, okay, you need to spend as much time as possible together as a couple to, know yourselves, enjoy your relationship and the likes? I'll start with you best.
Well, I am incredibly introverted, so I like my space. I enjoy my space. I enjoy my solitude. In fact, if I walk into a room that is overly lighted, I like to turn down the light. However, my partner is my space. So I can never spend too much time with my partner. If I am in love with my partner, yes, please be with me as much as you can, as long as it's not taking you away from doing other
The
things
most
that you have to
important
do.
things.
Be with me. I don't understand why I will have a partner and you've not called me and it's 10 a.m. Why? Have we broken up? What's going on? Yes, as much as I want my space from outsiders. Remember when we talked about you having your partner and feeling that this is your partner and you want another part of you in your partner.
Yeah.
So if I want space away from my partner, that defeats that purpose. My partner is an extension of myself, the way I say it. So I can never want time away from my partner. Let's be
But
together.
people are like, having time away as couples gives you time to be able to rejuvenate, think away from your partner. And you know how people say, is a strong word where we say the absence makes the heart grow fonder. So
Yes.
I've even read in places where they say even for married couples, try to travel, go away from your partner for a while, and then when you come back, it reignites the flame of love and connectedness in your relationship.
That is also very important.
Okay.
Because even me as myself, I also want time alone, time away from myself a lot of times.
Okay.
I want time away from myself, and I think it is important because even when you have things that you do, jobs that you do, I like to read and I'm an editor, but I still have time where no, this week I'm not touching any books to purge my mind. So it is good, but when you are having that alone time, like you want time away from yourself, from your partner, it should be defined. Not that on a general, I want to be having like this pocket of time away from my partner. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to be with my partner, like even if we're not physically together, but that connection, phone conversations, chats. I want to be with my partner as much as is possible.
I like, there's something she said. There's something best said about your partner being your space. I feel like, God, you've been dropping gems like bombs. I'm going to go and write that all over my word. My partner is my space.
I think that if you have not come to that point where you always want this person is the first person you call when you have good news, is the first person you call when you have bad news, this is something you should work on. This is something you should be intentional about developing and building, getting to the point where your partner is your go-to person, your, like I just said, your space, somebody, this is your comfort zone. Is something that you have to be intentional about working towards. It doesn't just happen over time. For those who it happens for immediately, it doesn't just happen immediately. For those who it happens for immediately, that's very, very good. But it's something for you to be deliberate about. If you cannot find comfort, if you cannot find peace within your partner, like yourself and your partner, where else do you want to go and find the peace? Another man's arm, another woman's arm.
Yeah.
No, please come to me. I'm your peace. Thank you.
Come to me, I'm your peace. Come to me, I'm your space. You don't need to have to go and be looking for space in another place.
No, you don't need to.
Right.
This whole space, no, do you?
Like we had I think I had a conversation with someone today, and I think when we are talking about space or spending a lot of time together as partners, sometimes we are talking about the disparity in energy frequencies. And that's why another person feels like you are choking me with your presence, because that's what people call, oh, I need space. Partners need space aside to be able to think. Some people feel like, I feel like I am an energetic person. So I bring a lot of life into the room. I'm gisty, I'm jivey. I want to talk to you every time, no matter
Your
how
partner
busy I
has
am.
to learn to get used to that, because
If they are choosing you, I like that.
If they are choosing you, they should get used to that. They should learn to live with that. I have a relation, let me just leave it at that, who there is this her friend. When I was with her, her friend is married. He is a married man, but he is not always on the same synergy with his wife. You want to talk about like deep things, have to have intelligent conversation, you are looking for my auntie. Oh God, I still mention names. You're looking for my auntie, not your wife. And like when you have exciting things, deep things that are troubling your workplace, that happens for you in your workplace, you are looking for somebody else because you cannot find that thing you are looking for in your partner. This is something that you should be deliberate about looking out for when you are also choosing a prospective life partner. If you cannot find what you are looking for, if you cannot find your space in me,
Keep looking.
keep looking.
Keep looking.
Because
I like that.
in future this might become a problem. Like when I had a partner where when I want to discuss books, I can't even go and look for you. When I want to discuss, no, we are very good, we are not having any issues, but it is over your head. Not that he's not intelligent, very intelligent, but this
That
particular
particular
topic
concept.
is not in your, you don't understand it.
But do you
don't
think you would
even-
have found a way to like, like
but
level it out?
he did not work on it in his own like job. I had no
Did he have it back?
knowledge. I had no knowledge of what he did before then, like, but I had to learn. One time he told me, oh, I'm thinking of developing XYZ. I said, okay. After that conversation that night, I went on Google. I went to like do research.
Interest.
Yes, I have to know what you are doing to be able to even contribute. When you have challenges, when you want advice, I have to be able to contribute. So if you cannot find all of these things in this full package,
That's your problem.
Omo.
That's your problem. Just keep moving.
Just
You get
keep
it.
looking.
Basi, welcome. So we were talking about what the last myth we want to crack is you need to spend as much time together as possible. Now, this is a myth that people have in relationships. Is that a yay thing or a nay thing for you? Do you feel like it's necessary to always be around your partner as a couple, whether it's in terms of relationships or marital relationships in this situation?
A man that is always available for his woman is a problem to the relationship because it means that he's not doing anything productive, right? It means he's not doing anything productive. Now, in light of that, time has to be created to spend together. Right? Time has to be created to spend together. Everybody is busy, right? But what's most important is what comes first. And in a relationship, your partner is most important. So that person comes first. That person's interest, what the person does. As a matter of fact, the person himself or herself is the priority. So you need to create time, even when there's no time, but you just have to create it just to spend with that person. Especially now, okay, my girl, she is a content creator, right? She's a content creator. Most times we could be sitting together and she's not having my time. Why? Because she's online. She's trying to do this. She's trying to do that. And I too am a busy person, right? But what do I have to do? What I do is when she's shooting, I am there. I am there. Even when I don't know anything about this content creation, I just have to watch, see what's going on. Is there anything I can do to help? Is there, even if it's just a button, should I open this button or should I close this button? It's part of spending time together, especially in something she loves to do. All right. So you just have to be able to create time for that person, for your partner. I mean, if you say that is a love language on itself, quality time.
Yes,
And
please preach the word.
For many women, that is number two. That is the second love language after
Why
gifts.
will you make it number two? What's number one?
I'm also interested in that.
What's
Oh,
number one?
gifts. Women love gifts.
So
No,
she's affirmative
statistical. No,
words.
on a statistical level, when you look at statistics, right? One thing about statistics is this: the small percentage that is different does not affect the large
That's
outcome.
true.
Show that.
All right, it doesn't affect it. So generally speaking, women love gifts.
Wow.
Generally,
I should
right?
change.
But individually, that might not be your number one. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that generally women love gifts. Trust me, my woman keeps telling me, it's been a long time you bought something for me.
Oh wow.
She tells me, she reminds me, it's been a long time you
Change.
got something for me. I haven't gotten something from you in a very long time. So it's something, it's actually there. You can't take it away from a woman. Okay.
Wow.
So that's why I put it as number one, then quality time
Quality
number
time is
two
number two. I
for
feel like
women.
quality
Yes.
time is like if there was a number before one, that would definitely be me. Like, no, please, just get me the presents. So, but Basi, this is a concept we were talking about when you were off, and it bothers me sometimes. So let's talk about it on behalf of the
Okay.
women. Most times, most men
All
feel
right.
like their women are choking them with their presence. So you have a woman who is in love with this guy. She wants to spend time. She wants to give. She wants to be around him even if he works on his side on the days and time that she's free. But a lot of guys come out in their circles when they're like discussing, oh, more this babe, she did choke me. She's not giving me time to breathe and all of those kinds of problems. And we see that it puts a strain on relationships. So that's why we're trying to balance this particular conversation about spending a lot of time together. When is it too much? And where can we all find the balance?
My girl is sitting right here with me, and as soon as she heard your question, she just started smiling. She wants to hear what I have to say about that.
Girl, we are
Okay.
all greeting you
All
from
right.
Spectrum Television and Connect. We love you. Thank you for giving us your man for today. Absolutely.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
Now, one thing about men is this: men like to enjoy peace, even if it's for an hour in a day.
When you
And
say peace, we
the
are
one
not disturbing you. We
I
didn't
just
come.
said I am your peace.
We didn't come with a storm. We didn't come with problems. We are just in your
I
space.
understand. I
Funny thing
understand.
is,
I
give them the
understand. Don't get
time
me
and they
wrong.
start
I
complaining.
understand. Like I said, we don't really have enough a lot of vocabulary in our brains to articulate what we really mean. But I really hope you do understand what I mean by men like quiet time. Look, even in my office, when I come to work, I can designate 1 hour of my entire office time just to be quiet. It helps me think clearly. It helps me do a lot of things. And anybody who intrudes on that time, anyone who intrudes on that quiet time that I'm having,
It's
might
a
likely get
traitor.
in trouble with me.
It's a traitor.
Okay. So the thing is this: in as much as we are telling men, you need to do this, you need to do this, we also need to advise the women. Understand when the man needs that space. It's yes, we understand
How
your
do I want
need
to know that you
for.
currently need space? I should heighten
Okay,
my
some men will
discernment.
not tell you. Some
What if
men,
when
see,
you need
listen, some
space is
men will
when I
not tell
need
you that they need
affection?
space,
Please,
but
Best has a question
some
for
men,
you, Basi.
What
Best has a
if when
question
you
for
need
you.
okay,
your space?
go ahead.
What if when you need your space is when I need your presence? How do we navigate that?
The issues we have.
Women need to understand that the relationship is not all about them.
Hey.
Hey,
Okay,
blasphemy.
women need to understand that the relationship is not all about them. The man matters. So, in as much as you want the man to fulfill your needs, you should also aim at fulfilling his own needs. Probably the timing is wrong. The man needs his space, you need him. You guys can come to an agreement. But I always advise women on this: give the man the space first and watch what happens when he comes back. So the thing is, like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to go this way. I wanted to be gentle, but
No, but
you
we
just made
like
me
This
say
is
we like
what had to be
100%
said.
honesty so
I
that
just learned.
we are
This
all
is
educated. Yeah.
The man has to love the woman, and the woman has to respect the man, as stated in the Bible. That is how relationship works. So when
Hallelujah.
once the two parties understand their roles, then these things will literally not be big issues in relationships.
I'd like to ask, Bess, it's been so great having a conversation with you, this evening. But then I'd like to ask if you would share something about about relationships right now. If there was one, like all the gems you have been dropping, if you had one gem to drop to people with regards to relationships today, what would that be?
um and this goes to the young ladies because I have a younger sister, and to you I might not be old enough to give advice, but to myself I am an adult and I can give advice to my younger ones. If you don't see exactly what you are looking for, keep looking. Don't settle. The thing is that men will hold out until they see their 100%. He can date you for 8 years, sees the next girl that gives him exactly what he is looking for, and he's wedding her like the next month. It does not mean you're a bad person or that he is a bad person, but instead of you like settling for what you know is not exactly given, is not
Does
given.
not fulfill
Yes.
you. Mm.
Don't settle. Don't settle. Just keep looking. And no, don't be in a relationship while waiting for the next best thing. It's better to be single and know that you are single.
Stop throwing
Don't.
shit. You're shouting.
It defeats the purpose. You are deceiving yourself, and you are actually, you will never be able to commit, even like to timing. You will never be able to commit to one person enough to see clearly, to see what you should see. So no, and it will also open room for comparison. No, if you are single, know that you are single. When you are dating, ask yourself, even though we are dating and we are dating to have fun and whatever, every other thing we do during dating, but you know that you are dating a prospective. Even if you're not thinking of marriage right now, whoever you are dating is your prospective. If you cannot see, yes, if you cannot see everything, if you're not seeing everything you wish to see in a spouse, drop and move forward. Thankfully, we are in 2023, so we don't really need to wait until men. You can always make your own money, because I discovered that is why, or what keeps a lot of women in relationships that they would rather not be in.
Money, the money factor.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Such great words. So, Basi, if you had one germ that you would love to drop for, folks in relationships of any kind, please, let's have your word.
Well, at the end of the day, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing
Choke me
and
words.
obtaineth favor from the Lord. So, my advice is to both the ladies and the guys. Well, in everything you do, acknowledge God and He will direct your path. Also, while you're acknowledging God and He's directing your path, you don't just be stupid, don't be foolish. There are signs everywhere. You will always see the signs. There's nothing to say that you were blindsided. The signs are always everywhere. In little things, in the things he does, in the way he says things, in his interaction with people, in the way he talks, the way he carries himself or herself, the signs are always there. Always be vigilant, always be on the lookout. Else, you will have no one to blame but yourself. Thank you very much.
Be vigilant when you're in relationships. Pay attention to all of the details. It is always there in the words, in the language, in everything around. We are not just, focused enough. I have had a great time of conversation with my guest, Basiowo, who is a life coach, and so many other things in between. He joined us virtually from Eket. I had absolute fun having this conversation with you, and I absolutely appreciate you. Say thank you to Madame for us this evening.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, definitely I will. Trust me, I will.
Thank you very much, Miss Bess. I
You're
don't want
welcome.
to attempt calling your surname again because it's been like almost an hour and I might hit it. But I must say a big thank you to you, Miss Beth. You have, given us great time of conversation, a lot of wisdom, and it was great time having this conversation with you.
Thank you. I also had fun, and I learned too.
If our guests all say that they had fun and they learned, I can imagine you who's been watching us from home, watching us on your phone and your iPads and everything. I must say a very big thank you to you for being a part of Connect today. I appreciate your time. Spectrum Television loves you. Connect is here for you. My name is Uyai Aniekan. Let's do this again next week. Enjoy the rest of your evening.